Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King, and on Saturday, April 19th, it marks the 250th anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord, began the Revolutionary War, and created America. Yes, 250 years ago on Saturday, my ancestors were Minutemen, and when the call went out, they answered that call and rode to protect the Massachusetts and protect America from the British. So, just seems fitting to me that we celebrate this milestone 250th anniversary with a look at a little patriotic comic I like to call Captain America 112. Now, this is a special album issue, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this so you can see some of the Jack Kirby's artwork in here. This is from a kind of a strange period in the history of the comic book. So obviously Stan Lee, Jack Kirby working on this series together from when it sort of relaunched with issue 59 of Tales of Suspense. Title changes to Captain America issue 100. It's mostly just sort of pure Kirby stuff, to be honest. And then after issue 108, we hit this very weird uneven patch. 109 is suddenly retelling Captain America's origin story. 110 and 111, Jim Steranko comes in, writing and drawing, so with some incredible work. And it looks like it's going to be this amazing new era of Captain America. And instead, the next issue we get this, 112, the album issue, where it's back to Stan and Jack. And what they're doing is a recap of the entire series thus far. So we just had 3 issues earlier a retelling of his origin story, and now in this issue, it covers basically recapping everything that's happened to Captain America since his origin story. So including the 40s stuff, but then coming back, being frozen in ice, all of it. So you will see all of that in here. The next issue, Steranko is back with the next part of his storyline, which this kind of interrupts. And basically, this was kind of a quick fill-in issue that was done because Steranko was late. So the story that was in 113 is supposed to be in 112. Steranko was running late on it. Stan and Jack filled the schedule real quick with this issue that they banged out. Steranko got pissed off because they were interrupting his storyline, and so he quit the book. So if it wasn't for this comic here, we may have had a much longer run by Jim Steranko on Captain America. But because they put this out, which again is because Steranko was apparently running late, Steranko got upset, quit the book, and we really don't see much of Jim Steranko doing full issues after this point. He does a lot of covers and stuff going forward. So this is kind of a pivotal moment in Captain America publishing history. With 114, Stan's back as writer, but then we start getting different artists and it completely changed the storyline. And so it's just like reading these issues are a weird jumble because mixed in among everything else is this weird block that's half recap origin story, sort of filler stuff, and half amazing Jim Steranko stuff, and it's all choppy. It doesn't really make any sense when you read them all together because of that. But what we do get is this issue here. Let me show you the cover again. It's a great Kirby cover where we have all of the different supervillains that Captain America has faced since he comes back in Avengers 4. So it's a great cover. It says album issue. It gives you the idea it's going to be like pinups, right? And there are a couple, but it's actually a little bit more than that. So let me show you what's in here. All right, we start here with Captain America's costume is being fished out of the ocean, right? So they're basically picking up off of what happened at the end of issue 111. And they do it in a way where it doesn't actually interrupt the storyline that much. It's just they're fishing around, they find Captain America's thing, they're like, oh my gosh, he's dead. And then we get these pages where Tony Stark, Iron Man, is like, oh my goodness, I can't believe Captain America's dead. Kirby, one thing that's a little bit different with his art here is bigger panels. So we see these 4 panel grids instead of like the 6 or 9. And that's pretty consistent throughout the comic. In fact, a lot of them have these 3 panel or 2 panel. And so here is basically Tony Stark is closing the Avengers file on Captain America, and so he's reviewing Captain America's history, right? So we get this Red Skull's first appearance, and then we get a bunch of stuff from the Golden Age. It's got the original Ringmaster and Circus of Crime from the Golden Age. And then we see more Golden Age. So really is, again, there's caption boxes, which is basically Tony Stark narrating what's happening in these panels. But it's really a showcase for Kirby's artwork. So you get some great half pages like this with Bucky and Captain America during the war. Here's Baron Zemo loading the plane. Here's a recap of the death of Bucky, which of course is in Avengers 4. It's not actually in the Golden Age, but then we get Captain America being revived. So here is more from Avengers 4. Here's a cool spread with Namor the Submariner where he finds Cap frozen in ice. And then he's freed. It's interesting. They have newspaper headlines to talk about the Avengers, but we don't really see the Avengers. So it's like he joins the Avengers, and it's not really in the recap here. It goes right into Cap's sort of solo adventures and his work with S.H.I.E.L.D., right? So it just completely skips over his stuff in Avengers and focuses, this issue focuses entirely on his solo series. We get Agent 13, Sharon Carter in the recap. We get a bunch of the new villains that appeared in Tales of Suspense. So we get MODOK, we get AIM, and then here we have the Fifth Sleeper. So we've just gone through the whole Tales of Suspense run, those 2 or 3 pages, and we're jumping right ahead to Captain America's own series, issue 101, 100, 101, 102. And some of the people that he fought just a few issues earlier. Again, this is issue 112. The recap is basically going over, here's Batroc, here's the Tumbler, here's the Swordsman, the Living Laser. These are all characters that appeared between like issues 101 and 108. So they're immediately just recapping everything they just did. And then here's the Red Skull's group of morons that he ran with at the time. And again, this is from the same block of issues. And then him fighting Dr. Faustus, which again is like issue 107. And then at the end, Iron Man's like, well, I guess he's dead. Rest easy, soldier. You will be avenged with all the Avengers. And then so basically the issue ends with him just saying you'll be avenged. So nothing actually happens in this issue. They think Captain America's dead, so is Iron Man ruminating on things, but it doesn't advance the plot any further, so that when Steranko's next issue comes in, it's already mostly done at this point. They can just plug it in. It's a really interesting book. Again, a weird bit of publishing thing in terms of the dreaded deadline doom. It's a lot better than, say, I appreciate this in terms of a fill-in, because it's not a random story that interrupts the continuity, because that's what happened with a lot of fill-ins. It's not a reprint either, which is another common thing that they might have done at the time. So it is new material, even though it's recapping. But, I mean, if you were reading the comic at the time coming out, having the new Jim Steranko stuff in issue 110 and 111, you're on the edge of your seat to find out what happens. And it gets interrupted with this, which is just recapping all the issues you just finished reading. You're probably pretty steamed, I think. As a Kirby fan, it's really great. There's some really, really cool panels in here. But it's just such a strange decision. Still, it's worth it just for the cover alone, and then the cool pinups like Namor and stuff like that. So Obviously, I have a complete run of this Captain America series, but it's an issue that I usually skip over. Like if I'm going to be reading, I'll read 110, 111, 113. Nothing happens in this issue in terms of the plot. You can just completely skip it. It kind of like it's whatever. So I don't dig this out very often, which is one reason that I wanted to do it today. So there it is. Celebrate the 250th anniversary of America. It's Captain America number 112. So let me know what you think down below of this issue. I'll see you next time.